I'm here at my cabin on Prince of Wales Island, about 25 miles from Ketchikan. This has been one of my absolute favorite places on earth for the past 20 years. This shack has been a home away from home for me and my family as we hunt, gather, and fish for food.
You can picture the past here much more vividly than you could picture it somewhere else. Here, the past just feels kind of alive.
But when I started coming here, I had no idea that this landscape may have played a pivotal role in the continent's original human mystery.
It's not implausible that the first peoples to ever arrive in the Americas passed through this cove.
For over 100 years, conventional wisdom has held that the first Americans came by land, crossing the Bering Land Bridge some 13,000 years ago. But a new theory suggests that the first Americans came much earlier and traveled along the shore of the Bering Land Bridge before heading south down the coast, living off the sorts of marine resources that you might find in your favorite seafood restaurant. If true, it'd mean that the first humans to ever glimpse the splendor and abundance of North America passed right through here. So, who was first, and how'd they get here? Was it by land or by sea? I'm here to use my knowledge of this area and my skills as an outdoorsman to investigate this emerging theory. I'm diving into this mystery by first diving into these frigid waters to explore just what food is here, a collection that would have looked remarkably similar over 10,000 years ago. Since this new theory is based upon the idea that the first people to reach the Americas would have followed the most easily available and consistent food source, I figured that's the best place to begin. With me is Clay Newcomb, writer, master outdoorsman, and unapologetic Arkansas hillbilly who's as fascinated as me by the hunter-gatherers who traveled the continent before us.
You see that rock?
Yep.
And then the little rock?
Yep.
There's big kelp beds in there.
That's the spot.
Yeah, let's start over here.
One thing that POW is known for are massive tidal swings of up to 20 feet, creating huge tidal-swept shorelines.
And those giant beaches have clams and other sea life all up and down, so abundant that it really focuses attention to the water. You can hang out on the shoreline or you can hang out on the land. Shoreline is where the action is. Shoreline is food.
These kelp forests are rich in clams, crabs, octopus, fish, all the things you see at a high-end sushi joint. But there are other things here, delicious things that, admittedly, a lot of squeamish type folks might turn their noses up at today, but that 100% would have been relished by the first people as edible, easy pickings.
He just got one. That thing's bizarre, man. Sea cucumbers are so weird looking. If you drew that on a piece of paper and told me that it was in this water, I would think you were punking me.
Unless you were very experimental, how would you ever learn that that's full of giant clam strips?
I bet the first person that picked one of those up was a little nervous to grab it, thinking it might sting them or bite them or suck the blood out of them. Steve has figured out a way to really get a lot of food and fish and scallops and sea cucumbers. It's pretty cool. Is that a sea urchin?
Yeah.
Can we eat them? We've now got greenling, sea cucumbers, urchins, rock scallops, and crabs. That's a meal, man.
These abundant food sources could have sustained early people along the length of the Pacific coast, abundant and predictable for travelers who were in unfamiliar terrain, and a hell of a lot easier than trying to find and spear a 10,000-pound mammoth out on some frozen grassland.
There's two main types of stone technology that are characteristic of this kelp highway. The first are what we call the biface.
Okay.
And bifaces are stones that are flint knapped or chipped on two sides. The other type of tool is microblades. What you do is you get little razor blades snapped from the stone and you insert them into antler handles, into slots.
Broad-headed biface blades were used to butcher game, scrape hides to make leather, and to carve wooden tools and implements. The microblades would have been used as barbed tips on hunting projectiles, such as spears and also darts that were thrown with a weapon called an atlatl. It's time to put these blades to the test on some of the food we plucked from the kelp beds.
Incredibly sharp.
I mean, other than just the awkward shape of the flake,
Yep.
it's not. It
Well, it's not
appears
even-
to be not much different than a knife.
No, it's not. It's sharper than a knife.
Thing,
What do you think?
Some of the stuff that we would have thought these people would have struggled with, they probably didn't.
No, zero problem. Cleaning an urchin.
And what are you eating out of that?
That right there. Cucumber. It's big noodles. And this is the kind of thing you'll never know about the past. Was this like, oh no,
We got to
rock scallops again? Or was this like, guys, you're never gonna believe it. I got more rock scallops.
Yeah.
You'd have to believe that the palate of these people coming down the Kelp Highway would have been different than ours.
Yeah.
I mean, our palate has been developed by so much unnatural stuff, and we like this. I bet they liked other stuff better.
This might be the most delicious way to use stone tools.
So far, my journey has focused on food resources in the water. But as a new day comes, Clay and I are turning our attention to the land and toward the skies.
If in fact the first peoples utilized the Kelp Highway, they would have needed to be resourceful and opportunistic. They would have absolutely looked for food in the water, but they could not ignore food on land and food in the air. And in fact, birds probably played a really heavy role in the Kelp Highway migration because of bird eggs.
And it's not just the eggs, but also feathers for insulating clothes. Waterfowl would be reliable and consistent along the Kelp Highway. And unconstrained by modern hunting laws and restrictions, they could have easily killed the birds with thrown sticks or rocks during nesting and molting seasons. Nowadays, it's shotguns only for waterfowl, and only during fall and winter. Peak activity for ducks and geese is early morning, when they head from roosting areas to feeding areas. Clay and I get posted up in a good spot where geese are coming to feed.
Right in front of us, Clay. Go, go, go.
Good shot. Good shot.
Yeah, see? That dark belly, now the white belly.
Great sucker.
That's a meal.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not just some little appetizer. A Canada goose like this can yield over half its weight in good fatty meat and organ tissue worth up to 10,000 calories. And beyond the many species of waterfowl that migrate through here, you've got resident species like black-tailed deer, seals and sea lions, and, back then, caribou herds. At times, hunting some of these animals would have been as simple as paddling up on them and lancing them when you caught them swimming from island to island. So when you come here and get your hands and eyes on the richness of this place, the Kelp Highway theory really starts to make sense. I used to picture the first Americans as these hard-scrabble hunters, chewing frozen hunks of mammoth meat between great bouts of starvation. But here you picture the richness of the landscape just pulling you along from one satisfying meal to the next. Instead of a journey of fear, I imagine a journey of joy and discovery.